So straight to it today. Yesterday I tried to do a two-part video in one. I wasn't very successful. I ended up rambling on about how I got the bike, and I wanted to do is the Superlow a good first bike. So is the XL883L suitable for a learner? Is it a good first? Is it a good first bike? Is what we're after to find out today. So paranoid that's going to come off. So short answer, yes. I do believe that the Harley Davidson Superlow is a fantastic beginner bike. A couple of factors. It's a Superlow, which means it's nice and low to the ground, so it's very easy to flat foot it for anyone who is not very confident with anyone who's not really, not confident with riding motorbikes. I feel something that's a little bit lower to the ground is definitely appropriate. It's definitely something I was looking for. I was terrified of tiptoeing on a learner bike. I'd much rather be able to flat foot it. So much more comfortable. So it's very low seat height. I can't remember the numbers exactly. I will do a bit of a walk around when I finally park. It's got more power than what most learners look for, though. That was a little bit scary for me to begin with. It's an 883cc bike, whereas most of the learners, like your Ninjas and all that sort of stuff, people are looking for your 250 to 300cc. Generally, that's what people are looking for. Whereas if you're like me, you've got a little bit more money there. You don't necessarily just want to buy a bike that you're going to throw away in 12 months time once you've finished your course and got your license, which is what a lot of people do. A lot of people spend the money and then buy something bigger. So it'll get you through. It doesn't just have to be your first bike, it can be a forever bike. The tank size, that's something that I wanted as well. I wanted something that was going to be able to get me a decent amount of distance for my money. So it's got a 17-litre tank as opposed to the peanut tank on the Iron. I don't remember exactly what size the tank was on the Iron, but I know it's a peanut tank. It's a lot smaller. Yeah, the low center of gravity is fantastic. Like, the bike weighs a lot, which I talked about in my last video, my surprise at the weight comparison between this and the BMWs that I went to look at. This weighs 260 kilos. So it's heavy. It is a heavy bike, but that weight is all down low. So I have never had any issues with riding this bike. It's never been too heavy. In saying that, the turning circle. So if you're getting this to possibly do your learner's course or anything like that in Australia, because a lot of the places will let you actually use your own bike for the P's. Consider the fact that unless you are an intermediate to experienced rider, now everyone's going to argue with me on this one, the damn thing is hard to do U-turns on. Now that's what I failed my P's course on was my U-turn, because the damn thing is heavy. So when you start getting all twisty trying to do U-turns on it and whatever, you do notice that you're moving a heavy bike. Yeah, so yeah, slow maneuvers, it's pretty tricky unless you're really confident, which I wasn't at that stage. So it's heavy, but it's not too bad. Look, I can stand up, I can actually give myself clearance and actually stand, and I've got quite a fair bit of distance between myself and the bike. Hopefully this little camera works. Got it set to 4K, sorry, 2.7K 60 frames as well, so same settings, two different cameras. Okay, so they're expensive. This bike was secondhand. It had 3,500 Ks on it. It's a 2014 model. In Australia, it was going for about 12,000. So 12,000 Australian dollars. So I managed to get them down to 10 grand. So I paid 10 grand for the bike. Now, as a learner, that's a lot of money. So that's why I say, you know, as an investment to a long-term bike, like I've had this for over 3 years now, it's great. 10 grand I don't find too bad for a 5-year loan. It's costing me roughly about 250 bucks, $250 a month on loan fees. So in saying that, if cost is a problem and you still manage to get one of these, keep in mind Harley Davidsons are expensive to run. One of the first things that went on mine was the fork seals, because the suspension does not have much travel at all. Like, it's not a comfy bike, not comfortable at all. I've done work to it and I'm still not comfortable with it. I have personal issues with my spine. You will be completely different. Every person's different. Yeah, so fork seals went, they were expensive. One of them still actually got a chip on it. I need to actually replace the entire fork, but I don't have the money for that, and it's not actually doing any damage at the moment. So servicing costs, I'm lucky here, my local Harley dealer does a winter service deal, so it cost me, I think, like $250. Yeah, $250, that's just for the basics, like your oil changes and your filters and all that sort of stuff. But they do go over the bike with a fine tooth comb and ring you and say, hey, you need to replace this. So that brings me to tyres. So the last time I had this in for a service, they said, hey, it'll be illegal for you to leave on this bike with the tyres that you've got. So yeah, tyres for the Superlow, they're specific ones that you can only get through Harley, and it costs $600 Australian to get those tyres. So a little service, 250 bucks, turned into $850 pretty quick. So be prepared that servicing costs are pretty up there. Running costs, in the sense of petrol, not bad at all. $15 will get me. I don't know. I cannot remember off the top of my head how many litres I put in. It's a 17 litre tank, so say if I fill it, that'll get me about 220 kilometers, and that seems to be pretty average for these bikes, about 220 k's, and that leaves some. I don't like emptying it any lower than that. I think I've had the petrol light on once, and that was enough to make me go, no. Power, 883 cc. The damn thing is quick. The only thing I wish this had was a 6th gear for the highway, because once you hit that 100 mark at 5th gear, you're running at like 3,600 RPM. Yeah, 3,200 RPM at 100, and if you're on freeway speeds doing 115, then you're sitting at about 3.6, 3.7, and it doesn't feel right. Like, it feels like it definitely needs that extra gear to get it through, but it is what it is. So if you're buying it for like long distance, don't bother. The damn thing is uncomfortable, and it'll just feel like it's dragging itself in 5th gear at that high RPM. Twisties. I don't thrash it around the twisties because I've grinded the pegs a few times. It is not great for the twisties. It's okay if you're crazier than me and want to give it a good throw around. There ain't that much room between you and the road. The suspension's not great either if you're looking for, again, for comfort. There's a few smaller bumps that I've hit on it that have made the front suspension fully compress, but there's not that much given it anyway. When looking down there, there's not that much. It's only about that much give. So you hit something with it, yeah, it doesn't take much. So it is a fun bike to ride. It definitely is. If you're looking at a commuter as your first bike and you still want that Harley, then I would totally recommend one of these guys. Obviously, if you've got a little bit of extra cash, personalize them. I put 10-inch apes on it with braided lines. So the visor's not a stock one either. The visor is off of I think it's a Virago. A mate of mine doesn't use the bike anymore, so he's like, yeah, it'll fit. So we managed to bolt it on, and it works. A couple of Allen keys and screw it all on, and she's good to go. It does a good job. It keeps the wind off my head. It's about, it's hitting the top of my head, so I can still feel it, but I had issues with it hitting my chest, especially, yeah, the wind will smash you right in the chest. There's no wind protection on this thing at all. So I highly recommend a visor, unless you want to be really tired. I used to ride about 30 kilometers to work on a 100 kilometer an hour stretch of road, and it would smash me in the chest, and I'd be exhausted, like just straight in the chest. So the visor does a fantastic job. If you can get a detachable one for it, I would highly recommend it. So for nice hot summer days, you're not too worried about it. The clutch, if you're worried about stalling it, which I was terrified of stalling it when I first got it. I have not stalled it once, had no problems. The clutch is it's very easy to read, and when you let it off, that grab point, the bike instantly starts to pull away anyway, so you just give it a bit of throttle and off you go. You can take off in second gear in this bike, so if you happen to leave it in gear when you pull up at the lights, because sometimes it happens, you know, you don't gear down at the lights, you just hit the brake, you don't check what you're doing. Yeah, she'll comfortably take off in second gear, so I wouldn't recommend it, but it can do it. So this is where I was yesterday, but I was going the other way, so there's that rattle again. What is that? Wondering if it's my my Guardian bell having a jingle down there. I heard it yesterday. It was a bit of a rattle. Again, if you're buying it and you're going to have it for a while, so if you're going to use it as your learner bike and then keep it, depending on your laws around lane filtering and splitting, this thing fits. It is not huge, so it's not a problem to filter on. You just need the confidence to be able to do it, which depends on the day for me. Depends on how cocky I'm feeling. Today I'm just out talking to you guys, so I hope that I can use this footage. I'm a bit worried that I won't be able to because of the angle that it's on. So stock seat is garbage. Get a new seat. Definitely get a new seat. So new handlebars, new seat. If you want, get some highway pegs, just depending on what sort of riding you're going to be doing. If you're commuting, it shouldn't be too bad. Forwards are good. I actually wish I had a pair of mids that I could just rest my feet on, just the pegs, not necessarily the controls. Yeah, look at that suspension. There's really no give in that at all. I would recommend upgrading the suspension if you've got the money. Because yeah, if you hit bumps on it, you're gonna clunk, you're gonna feel it. Obviously, yeah, your regulations on what capacity, like CC engines and size motors and bikes that you can have in your area, they differ depending on where you are. Where I am, I think it's the only state in Australia that these bikes are actually learner legal, so everywhere else it's CC locked, so I think you can only have a 250cc as a learner bike. They sound lovely. Big fan of the noise. That's one thing I'm really going to miss, because eventually I will be upgrading to a I don't know whether it's upgrading or sidestepping to a BMW GS. The 750 is what I'm looking at, but that's neither here nor there. That apparently they're learner legal as well, but we're asking the question, is this a good beginner's bike, a good first bike? If you look back through my videos, you can probably see that, yeah, it is, because I've done a lot on this bike. This, you can go back and see that my first ride is on there, and my progression through learning. I stopped for a while because I got really disheartened by failing my P's test, and I had to redo the L's and all that sort of stuff, but I'm on my full license now, so it's been a while. What else do you research when you're looking at a bike? The main things are, you know, people are terrified that the bikes are really heavy, that they can touch the ground, that they can maneuver them if they need to. This thing's tiny. Like it's heavy, but like I said, it's all low in weight, so. She is flicky, but like I said, I'm paranoid about scraping those pegs, so I don't flick it as much as some other wild people out there. Dunk, dunk. Geez, you feel it on your butt though, far out. You hit those bumps, it smacks you right in the bum hole. Mind you, 90% of people who watch these videos already know the stats. They know what they're looking at. They just want an honest review on whether it's a decent beginner's bike. Oh, there's that clunk clunk. Would I buy it again? If I knew what I know now about the weight of the bike, I'll be honest with you, probably not. And if I knew how uncomfortable I would be, then probably not. I would probably look at an adventure bike, just for the sheer comfort of it for me. If you watch my previous video, yeah, I'm terrified of the size still. Like, my legs are bent, my knees are bent. Flat footing on this. The idea of riding a GS that I can only just touch the ground does not fill me with comfort at all. Don't buy one brand new. Buy a second-hand one if you can get one with decent Ks on it. From a dealer though, I would not buy anything from a I would never. That's just my personal preference. I would never buy anything privately because you don't have that warranty. You always get warranty when you buy something, even if it's second hand from a dealer. There's always going to be some warranty on it. Geez, I hope this camera works. It'll work, but I don't know what the footage is going to be like. New buildings, wow. Live here 2020. Sorry, live here 2021. Wow, they've done a good job with them. I've been watching those guys go up. Crazy. Here I am riding past the police station. I've got GoPros all over my my bike. I don't know whether it's legal for me to have them strapped on here or not. I've only got this one on wide, so I'm not quite sure what the view is going to be like on it. Oh, the wind. Blow me sideways. There is a street, no, not a street bulb, a fat bulb over there. You probably guys can't probably see it. What the hell? That was a big pipe. Got a bus right behind me. You guys can see that right behind me. And she slipped into neutral from second gear. Of course she did. So yeah, she's definitely got the power when you need it as well. So yeah, don't frown on the fact that it's only a 833cc. Like, the brakes aren't great. Don't get excited about being stupid and needing to slam on the brakes. They're not fabulous brakes. They do the job. It's got me out of some sticky situations with the ABS. If you get the option, always get ABS if you're a beginner rider. Having the ABS is a lifesaver, literally a lifesaver. Alright, well, considering I just got distracted, I apologise, there won't be a summary to this. If you've got the money and you want to invest it in one of these, they are perfectly capable of being a first bike and they'll keep you happy for a while. Watch this space. I've got a couple more ideas for videos coming up. If you have any suggestions, please help me out. I'm doing this for poops and giggles. With my photography background, I like creating, so that's why I do this. Yeah, and the battery's going to die, so thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Stay safe. If this manages to continue going, please keep watching. There might be a little bit more, but I'm pretty sure I've only got 17% on my battery, so she's going to be dead pretty soon.